Happy Tuesday, good people. I am temporarily on here, just me and you today, but we're going to get started. And my co host, Auntie TT, she's over working hard at the Capitol. So she will be joining us here momentarily. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to talk a little bit. My name is Apollo Woods. I'm the founding chair of Oklahoma Black Pack, and welcome to the Conscious Disruptors podcast. This is episode 5, y'all. So we are in season 2. And typically, as we start off, we talk about something good that's happened to us in the last couple of weeks, the last 2 weeks, or even something that's happened most recently that we want to share. So I typically would say to Auntie TT or Tanasha, like, I'm gonna really use this Auntie TT thing until she she gets out here, and she's probably gonna give me a hard time, but that's all right. Something good that has happened in the last 2 weeks. You know what? I'm not going to share something about myself. I'm going to share something that's happened to a good friend of mine. So I don't know if y'all have been paying attention, but Rob Clay, Big Rob, and his wife, Brittany, have a celebrity at their household. So their son, Warren, he dressed up as Warren the Cowboy, and our good friend Les, who does the announcing at the football and basketball games at Oklahoma State University. Warren got a chance to really give some energy in the game, which they did win that day. He was like, he was in costume. He's like, "What do you want to say, Les? What do you want to say to the fans?" He was like, "Oh, yes, you!" And it went viral, y'all. It went viral, y'all. So it's good to see, somebody just as young with so much energy and great parents like Brittany and Warren give him have friends to give him a chance to get some energy there. And they got some great things coming. I love seeing my friends being blessed and having doors open for them. So that was something great that I got a chance to witness and see. Rob and Les and I, we meet for coffee every Thursday as fellas, just getting together and talking about what's going on in our lives, what's going on in the world, and how we can support each other. Now, we got some interesting things going on here in Oklahoma politics. And so what we like to do, what we tend to do with this podcast, with this platform, is talk about things as they relate to Black Oklahomans here in the state of Oklahoma. Black Oklahomans in the state of, it was kind of redundant, but talk about how things benefit Black Oklahomans. So we're going to do a better job of talking about things outside of Oklahoma City, although we are housed here in the state capital. But there was this video that I saw on Twitter, and I'm going to try to pull it up on Twitter, where it showed a representative from, I think I should be able to pull it up. It showed a representative, Ron Flipkowski, from Louisiana. Actually, if you give me 1 second, I'm going to find it on Twitter, and I'm going to show you the video because it's important to stay in context. Because in this video, hold on, y'all, hold on. We have a special guest that I'm gonna bring online. Hold on, y'all. Wait a minute. Well, who is that? Who is that? Who is that? Hey, y'all. Is Auntie TT? Look at her.
I'm struggling over here. Upset because my computer, everything just keep getting kicked off. Help us, sister.
Look, I understand. Look, if that's your way of just saying that you was late, that's cool. You know what
I'm saying? Really? No.
It ain't no love lost. I still love you.
Oh my gosh. What's happening? What am I coming in on all late?
Well, no,
what video we about to see?
Well, I mean, I was going to try to pull up that video that I actually, nope, we starting this thing all right. I shared something.
You did. I missed it.
Yeah, you missed it. And I'm not doing like last time where I didn't press live and we was having a whole conversation by ourselves. So I did my part. And the world has heard me talk about my positive thing. I gave some accolades to somebody else. I didn't talk about something good in my life. I just shared some love on. So that's what we're going to do. You don't have to say the person's name, but give some sprinkle some love on something positive you've seen in somebody else's life that you want to share with the people. While I find this Twitter video,
I'm gonna say the person's name.
Okay.
Since we're doing it this way. For those who don't know, I have a sister, and I admire her. She's several years younger than I. However, she's doing a daggum thing all the time. She's a mom. She's a professional first. This is how she did her life. She's a dentist. Then she's a wife. Then she's a mom. Like all of those things, my sister powers through. So I'm just gonna say, Dr. Aisha George is an amazing Black woman. And no, she's not here in Oklahoma, but she is just a state over in Texas doing her thing. So I just want to shout her out and say how great and wonderful she is, not just in the things that she's accomplished, but how she carries herself and how she helps her daughters to understand different things in this world. They're young, coming up in a crazy world, but she does a wonderful job. So thanks, Apollo. That's great. I wanted to give my sister some love today.
That's good stuff. Good stuff. Giving shout outs to the family.
Yeah.
So I found that video, and I don't know if I didn't text this to you, which included Congresswoman Stephanie Bice. I don't know if you saw it, but I found it on Twitter again. I want to share it because I think it's an important conversation for us to have, because they use terms that I don't know if this is worthy of a warning, but they use terms that could trigger you.
Me? Anybody?
Yeah, there's interesting terminology being used. I'm gonna find it here on the Twitter.
On the Twitter.
Find it here on the Twitter, and then I want you to let me know if you see it. And okay, you see
it? There it is. Yes.
Okay. Go right to the beginning. Can you hear it?
No.
Hold on.
I like when you do this.
You can't hear the volume?
No. And let me turn mine up, but I don't think that has anything to do with it.
Let's see, try it this way.
I like when you do this because it's showing people.
How about now? Hear any volume?
Ladies and gentlemen,
yes,
the oppressor's intent is for you to comply with their mandates and commands.
Pay special attention to.
They don't expect for you to comply with their commands until the end of COVID. They expect you to comply with their commands until the end of time. Let me be very clear to all you oppressors. You've drawn a line in the sand. Be prepared to defend your position, because some of us are free Americans and we would rather die on our feet than live on our knees. If you want to get a vaccine, get it. If you don't. That's called freedom. Freedom is what's at stake. And some of us are prepared to carry that fight with every drop of our blood. On January the 3rd, 2023, Republicans will be sworn into the majority in this House behind us here. The hallowed halls of Congress shall once again be under the control of Republican conservatives. On that day, myself and many of my colleagues will introduce legislation to reinstate my military brothers and sisters with full pay back into your rank. So stay hard, stay strong, stay in shape. We're going to get you back.
So that was what I saw this morning. And I saw the tweet responses underneath, which I think in the tweet responses, they all agreed that it was yeah. So what are your thoughts on that?
I need to see it again. But you know what? No, I had never seen it. First of all, it reminded me. Trigger is the right word. It reminded me of an old, what we see in the movies as to how white men would stand up and talk about different things in this country, and how it's not inclusive at all. You don't get a warm, fuzzy feeling that, oh, he's talking about me too. And it's not as much as he might want to say, and this is my opinion. He might want to say that he's speaking for freedoms to anybody who doesn't want to take the vaccine or not. It's still, there's undergirded information inside of what he's saying. It's just, and it also reminds me of whenever Trump said, what did he say? This guy just said, stay hard, stay strong. Mm-hmm. But Trump told him to stand by and stand down or something like that. I mean, it is totally loaded words for, it's like a slang. You understand it if you in the game, right? That's the way it made me feel. I didn't like it. I didn't like the tone. I didn't like the stance. I didn't like, if it were inclusive of everyone, why are you talking about, okay, the Republicans are going to take over this house and we're going to do all this, that, and the other? That's not diverse, nor is it inclusivity. So I'm troubled. Thanks, Apollo. I hadn't seen that, but thanks.
Well, to me, I find it very interesting. So you have Congresswoman Bice, who represents a district that on the east side in Oklahoma City, or northeast Oklahoma City, that's predominantly African American. And I think we've probably only seen her once. And then on top of that, you are, and again, as I was going to prepare a video before that, but I said no to myself. This isn't, for me, it's not about condemning people who want to get the vaccine or those who don't want to. It's your choice. It's your decision. You make the best decision for you. But what I don't like about the language is condemning people who choose to get vaccinated and making people who decide to not get vaccinated feel like they're more empowered than those who decide to make a choice that's good for them.
Right.
So, and talking about freedom and liberty, then my choice should not result in being condemned, ostracized, made feel less than. But what bothered me about this term oppressor, coming from a man dressed up in a giddy up outfit,
looking like the oppressor.
Yeah, you looking like what's his name on WWE? You looking like a Grim Reaper. You looking like one of them wrestling characters. So just so people understand, the term oppressor, based on definition, a person who uses power or authority in a cruel, unjust, or harmful way, can be considered a dictator. Scarcely been overthrown when they formerly oppressed, suddenly abandoned, yada yada yada. So we correlate the term oppressor to in these United States of America, however you want to spell America, that it is the dominant white culture oppressing Black people. I know folks politically say Black and brown, Black people, but you have a white man in a video that's predominantly white men, one white woman, talking about what the oppressors want to do. So are you talking about the white men that are being the oppressor? So if you're talking about white men who are oppressing, then what side of justice are you on? Or are you just mad at your fellow white colleagues for doing what they do? It really puzzled me. But what puzzled me even more is I'm looking past him, because he's foolery. I'm looking at what Congresswoman Bice, her responses are. You are representing a district that's predominantly African American. You're representing a district that has been divested. You represent a district that has high mortality. That's so you're supposed to represent for resources for that district. Mm-hmm. But you being there says that you're not there to represent that district. You're there to support the interests of other people who believe like you in the mm-hmm. district. That's what I was having an issue with, mm-hmm. me personally.
And I mean, that's too, like I said initially, that would be something that I don't know about everybody else or you, Apollo, but I look at things a couple of times, maybe 3.
That's why I'm glad to get it to you first. I wanted your first response.
You would get a little more out of it. I would probably have my notes together and everything, because all of those things that you just said and coupled with what I said, and I'm certain once I look at it again, I'll find something else about that particular video. But this helps me to also bring forth the fact that, this is why it's so important that you don't back down from your beliefs. First of all, we don't intentionally walk around here, and I say this fervently, and for everybody. I just don't believe that people that look like us, Black people, or that's all I'm gonna say, Black people, walk around here with an intentionality of making someone else feel some type of way about how they live, what they like, what they want to do. That's just not what we do. Yep. And it's a conscious decision, I believe, from those individuals who are elected to office, and they possess less credentialing than many of us, many Black people. And we have to prove ourselves in so many different facets in order to make it to a particular place. When what we know is, to be elected, you don't even have to hold all the things that we have as it relates to, education and things of that sort, experience. But it's nice to have, because you have a person in there who, can understand some of those things. And it's quite interesting to me how we get people who are elected and they have to come in and look at budgets, money that they've zeros and numbers, commas that they've never seen in their own lives or in a classroom. And then they have the nerve to act like they really get it. And they can't even they don't come out and tell their constituents what it actually means for them and how it could help the community. Right. So I kind of got off the rails a minute, but I was really going into the fact that you cannot, as Black people, walk around here and say, I don't need to get in it, like it's none of your business. All this is your business. Right. My brother shared something earlier, a conversation he was having with a person about where things are going. Mm-hmm. What do we know about past being prologue? What do we know about forgetting about history that you tend to repeat it? It don't mean that it looks the same, y'all. Right. It don't look the same. But it is the same, essentially. When you talk about Jim Crow laws, the Black folks back then didn't realize they were going to have to be put up against that. Like I thought I was just going to be able to go buy me some land, give me some cows and some horses and mind my business. Yeah. Apollo, you done set me off because I can't.
That's why, look, that's exactly why, like, I'm not going to give you a chance to do your homework, all that, because I didn't stop saying that. I think.
All right.
When you
look, I know, I believe.
I know. I think right when. Oftentimes, your first response is something that, like for me personally, I want to hear that before you have a time to dissect it and regurgitate it and everything else, because there's something in your first response that for me it's like, oh, I heard that. Okay, but now it connects to a deeper thought or something, so it actually helps me. But even with that whole video, that tweet was posted by someone that is not Black. A white person posted it, and it's interesting to see the responses that would be very similar to, they were similar to our response of like, that was tacky, that was a bad look for Oklahoma, that kind of thing. But what's even more interesting is we often hear about the disappointment in representation of Oklahoma from white people. But it doesn't seem reflective.
It isn't.
Well, it isn't reflective in the polls. And it just makes me wonder, what if black people just said,
come on, say it.
No matter what, we doing this.
Say
no matter what.
Whoa.
And how much more we would get and how much more powerful we would get, because now it's your representation is choosing a side that is against your well-being, even when that applies to someone who looks like you, regardless of their party affiliation, regardless if they made you think they were a part of a party but they're part of another, regardless of that, you still should be able to say, is this good for the people that I represent? Is my posture, position, and it's not about, sometimes you gotta kind of rub elbows with somebody you don't really agree with to get something done. Sometimes you got to do that. That posture from Congresswoman Bice made me believe that you're not for us. You ran in a district that you could probably win, and you'd be there for a while, and now they trying to change the lines,
right?
To ensure that Republican representation is there for 10 years,
right?
What does that mean for black people?
Right. And so, Apollo, you're hitting on all of the cylinders right now, because we've talked about this on several occasions. There being, and I always love to use the example, it's a true one, 20,000+ registered. And I always emphasize registered because that's what's important. Voters in one district.
Yep.
And then there's only 5,000 people that turn out to vote. That's problematic, people.
Yep.
And notice that wasn't a racial divide in numbers, because really trying to get that information is difficult. But the point of the matter is that if we show up, the first thing you said, what if we? And it is a chance that you be willing to take. Listen, we're not asking nobody to cut off a finger or even cut off a strand of hair. Nope. It's a little bit of time to go vote. And if you're unsure about your registration and things like that, we happily provide that information to people. And that's what it is. Look, I look at it like a whole experiment. Can we get excited if we had a concert come and we haven't had that person come to Oklahoma? And I don't know how many black folk, I'm talking about a black artist.
Right.
How many black folks would show up to this?
Right.
Listen, we could do it. And the only way that we believe, like as a whole, I think, because you and I believe that we can do it, but getting the others who have doubt, the only way to make them believe it is to show it. So be a part of the show is what I'm saying to folks. You hit it.
You know what? You just talked about voting. And so I decided that I was on the Twitter. Okay. And there's an election today.
There is an election in Spencer.
Yeah, there's an election today. And again, this is my fault because just gotten too distracted, and I need to make sure I have these actually on my calendar, regardless if I can vote in that county or not, because it's good to know what's going on. So there's an election today in 29 counties. Polls open at 7, go from 7 to 7. And here are the elections that the little things add up and hurt us, because we don't think about those small elections and how those elections can impact a future election. So there's 29 counties voting. Who knew? Now, we've repeated this. Every month, there's a chance to register to vote.
Yeah.
Every month, there's a chance to vote. Every month. So you got at least 12 opportunities to do something, to get actively engaged. And again, if you're not on the Twitter or you're not in the world of politics or civic engagement, it's not something you talk about.
Nope.
Now people are in campaign season.
Come on, let's segue. Come on.
They starting to show up, right? They starting to show up at different
announcements
and be visible. But even in being visible, I've seen people who are candidates for re-election, incumbents, or potential people, and not a damn one of them that I've seen have anything regarding registering people to vote. One, or two, have pushed the message, hey, make sure you get out there and vote. Not a one. Zero. Goose egg. Zero. What's another way?
In case you didn't understand, zero. Z. Listen, one of the conversation I had yesterday was about, you're saying they haven't pushed get out to vote. And I'm saying, even as a candidate, do they explain the actual, what that position they're seeking is about? They could win over voters by educating them on not just coming with a platform.
Yeah.
You know, when we talk about change and things shifting, actually getting the attention of younger voters.
Yep.
You want to give them information that they haven't perhaps heard before, and give it to them in a way that is energetic, right? Like, you're not out here posturing, oh, I know, da da da. No, it's not about that. This is what this position requires, and this is what I have to offer to this position, and this is why I'm great for this position. Align yourself in your conversation with the people, and that helps them to say, man, now if I don't hear from that other person, this person definitely gonna get my vote, because they took the time to explain to me what this is about.
Oh, let's talk about Spencer real quick. I'm sorry, you mentioned Spencer, so I'm on the election board site, which they list all the counties, and it's very obvious. You know, it shows you who has an election today. So I scroll down to Oklahoma County. The town of Luther has a proposition. City of Spencer, council member for Ward 4 council member, an unexpired term. There are two candidates, Lisa Janlu and Charmaine Williams, are running for Ward 4. Both, I believe, are residents of Spencer. Both are. And Lisa's father ran Jason Janlu. No, it's Jake. No.
Well, no, he ran against Jason Lowe, but I don't remember his
first name. But her father was the candidate running against Jason Lowe, representing Jason Lowe this past election. So her name itself has been out there in space for 2 years, about 2 years. And you have another resident of Spencer, Black woman, active in Spencer, lives in Spencer, running too. I luckily found out that someone was running on Facebook. We don't know everything, and this is a challenge to organizations out there. If your mission and vision, mission, objective, history for your organization is to get folks registered and get them active to vote, then y'all got to do a better job of letting people know it's time to vote.
It's time to vote, and who you are.
Work to be done, right?
Yeah. It's not a lazy feat. That's it.
No, not at all.
You have to put in some effort.
But what is now? I'm like, what can be done now other than sharing that here's an election in Spencer? Y'all make sure you get out and vote. I don't know much about either candidate. That's another thing.
Right.
Don't know a lot about candidates who are running. So you vote based on name recognition. And so from my perspective, Janlu's name has been out there long.
But we don't we don't know that it was out there necessarily in Spencer the way that it was out there up here in the city for 97. You know what I mean? It has been 2 years at this point. So we don't know really if she's been doing anything in Spencer. So I just want to bring that up.
Because she has, now we don't really know how much she's done actually in Spencer, but being a part of her father's campaign, and as soon as that loss was done, I know that she had been starting her pushes to get her name recognized out in Spencer. Okay. So now you have a thing of, because you don't have a lot of candidate information, now it's name recognition.
Right.
Because I didn't know about it, or if I did know about it, I recognize the name, I'll do it. Or if it's Williams, sometimes Black folks, they see names, they're like, oh, that person's Black, and they pick it.
Right.
Not everybody does that, but there's a higher probability that stuff.
Any, many, miny, mo. Yes. Right? Is that we don't want that. We need you to be educated.
Exactly. So my ploy for anyone that's listening is, if you live in the city of Spencer, you have an election today, and please take this time to go out and vote for your Ward 4 city council person. That's important because it's also, there's this connectivity between Northeast Oklahoma City, the East Side, and Spencer. There's a lot of synergy between those cities and those areas. People live there, have relationships there, and we need to make sure we have the right person in office that can help extend those relationships. But there are plenty other elections going on around the state, 20 plus counties. But anyway, we've talked a lot about what needs to be done.
Can I just interject this real quick?
No.
Just to not, yes, I gotta say it. And you were clear, you didn't know much about the candidates, but I want folks to understand this is not an endorsement or push for either of those candidates, but a push for you to go exercise your vote. Thank you.
Absolutely. So we have elections that are coming up. The primary is next November. No, June.
The primary is in June, and they will know in April. Once the April, can we concentrate on that real quick? Just the real people who are running when they go file. Okay, so filing date is in April.
For what offices?
Listen here, everything is going to be on in 2022. We even have our gubernatorial candidates aligned for that election time. I'm sorry?
And midterms.
So we have everybody, Senate District, for all the people who fall into Senate District 48. Let me finish my statement on that. And then, of course, I'm saying of course, but for those who don't know and those who do, we know that in the House, members run every 2 years. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that puts you in an offset is if you win in a special election. Special elections occur because someone resigns a seat for whatever reason, and things of that nature. So everybody in the House, every 2 years, they're ready. So if a person was planning on running for one of those seats, they could understand and build a strategy upon knowing that every 2 years, that seat is up for grabs. File, get in the race. And then in the Senate, it's every 4 years, staggered. So I don't know what all seats, because Apollo he seems to be hovering right there. I don't know them all by heart. I would have to have this stuff available to me at this moment. But we can definitely follow up with that. Also, you can go on the election board, and it tells you also what's going to be available.
I actually found the link, and I'll post it here. And there's a PDF document that shows the statutory election deadlines. It also has a calendar that's important for you to know when special elections are. So I believe we have there will be a election for county commissioner,
school board as well.
Well,
for particular school board
has put his name in the hat for DA.
DA, yes.
Right. So which means District 3, which I believe that is primarily northwest Oklahoma County. Mm-hmm. Neighbors to Northeast Oklahoma City in District 1, which is something important to pay attention to. And because he is now running, he has resigned, I believe, from the jail trust. And so if you've been following the jail trust circumstances surrounding the Oklahoma County Jail, he has taken an interesting position on many things and been the center of a lot of conversation. So
why is that important?
Yeah.
Come on, Apollo. I mean, don't give him just a tidbit. It's important. You resign from the jail trust, you hold a particular position, and now you're running for DA. This affects everyone. Those ideologies that people hold and they show on these boards, people pay attention. They don't go away. Yep. And that makes me talk about Hoffmeister changing from Republican to Democrat. I listen, you have a right to do what you want to do, but I want folks to just be really cognizant of what they're saying makes sense to them. Is it a win by any means necessary because you want a Democrat? Is it a win by any means necessary because you know Calvi? He was in the legislature at one time. Do you remember what he voted, how he voted then? You know, listen, it's not hard work. It's just about paying attention, being observant, and caring enough about your life in the next 10 years. And if you have kids, I know you got some nieces, nephews, somebody's that you care about, even just your neighbor.
Even without having kids.
Right.
It's more that these elections, you can be an empty nester, you could have not had kids, or you could be a transplant to Oklahoma for your job or whatever. Just know that election is going to impact your community, your lived environment, whether it's you're talking about transportation or where tax dollars are shifted to. It's all going to affect how you live. So, and it's especially important talking about if you have family in the home, or maybe you're taking care of a parent, or you're a guardian of somebody else. Knowing how that person votes is absolutely important. And the strategy that some elected officials, well, not some, all elected officials should use is they move to districts where they believe they can win.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's anybody. Like, I'm gonna move somewhere
because numbers matter, right? Numbers matter, and that is it. It is. Listen, it's a strategy, people. That when we talk politics, it's a way by which to get to a particular place. That's what politics mean. And of course, unfortunately, I feel that we've put this negative connotation over the word politic itself, but that's the definition of it. And if we realize, okay, this is the strategy that I should use to win this seat, but what am I bringing with it, right? And we know that people we all sitting on a different moral compass these forevers. I was going to say these days, but forevers.
Well,
everybody's different.
The definition of politics that you have me thinking. So that, because I want to make sure I understand the definition of politics, and then there's strategies of politics, right?
Yes.
So the definition of politics are the activities associated with the governance of a county or other area, especially the debate or conflict among individuals or parties having or hoping to achieve what? This is the word right here. Hoping to achieve power.
Okay, you still spelled out. And see, I don't know where you got that definition from, but I'm speaking as Wikipedia. Okay, I'm speaking as a poli-sci educator and educated. It is, and you still said it in there. It's just worded different. It's the way in which you get to that particular place, seeking power.
Absolutely. So I was looking at the Merriam-Webster dictionary. And what's interesting is it's when you talk about, in essence, it is if you take the political party out and the political party's ideals.
Process
is the way, the activities that you do to achieve power.
What are you saying? A process. It's a process.
Activities, things you do. How do I get power? But why is power important?
Woo!
So you got power and you have authority.
Oh, look! Come on, come on! You know, don't be over there getting hot under your collar now. Come on.
Let me get my turtleneck on right now. Authority is you have to give up authority. Allow somebody else to have authority over you. Power doesn't require authority.
Right.
Your boss has power over you in your job. You have the ability to surrender authority to someone or not.
Sure.
But power basically says that it's like in sport, it's your force and energy against something to get it to move. If I bench press, I'm using my power to push this weight off of me.
Right.
So if the purpose of politics, and by definition is the strategies used to get this thing off of me so I can control what's happening.
Oh, come on. Off of me or away from me or keep it in a linear perspective. All of those things.
Into authority is now that I have power, I'm trying to exercise authority over a group, which usually leads to oppression. marginalized group.
Did y'all see that? Did y'all see it? I mean, he rounded the bases for you. I'm just saying. He came home with it. He put it all together. Y'all don't miss it. Okay.
And then I'm gonna go back to this. I'm gonna just go back to this is why relationships matter. This is why you have to understand who you're dealing with. You got to understand who's doing what. Right. I was told that I'm gonna say this out loud. I was told this recently in a conversation I was having with somebody else who's associated with this other person. Now, this project that we're working on is benefiting Black people directly. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Employment, tax, all that. Like the things that people say that we can't do, we're doing it, right?
Yeah.
And this person relayed a conversation, and this person that said this comment is in a position of influence and power, somewhat authority in this city. She told this person they should watch out for me.
What?
Now, when I heard that, I was like, somebody's salty. But then I have a different perspective in that. People that say watch out for a person, especially when they have information and they can't be fooled, it's a threat to them. See, that response, in my opinion, became that person was responding out of fear.
Yeah.
Because when you have relationships and you read and you keep track of things, you start to connect the dots. So why is it that people want power? So if I have power to make laws and I have power because of my money to buy these ships and to take your land, and now I'm going to work on getting you to surrender authority to me, now you don't believe that you have power to fight against. So you just go along with everything because you believe you don't have power and you don't have authority. So now I'm going to create this larger marginalization of this group. Now it's so big and so deep. Now Jim Crow is taking over. Now it's you don't believe that you can do it.
Listen, you just spelled out what we see all the time in Oklahoma's legislature. So if you run under a party, and when you get in, then that particular party has the majority of the people. Mm-hmm. Power is exerted in those numbers.
Yep.
But if you notice, if there is one or two defectors from that particular number, the power, which is the rest of the people, they talk out against that one or two that defects, that actually says, listen, no, this ain't what we're doing.
Right.
So it's shown to us, and again, it goes back to this: try it. Mm-hmm. You don't get anywhere by believing, because that's a false evidence appearing real. That fear that you're operating under, that Apollo just told y'all about. If you don't put forth the effort to build your own, so going all the way back to this, what if Black people? You have to try it. And I want to add to this. When people decide that they have what it takes to run for office or go for a particular position, and there are people who are attempting to discourage them to benefit themselves, that is a watch out. Yep. You know, if they are discouraging you, they're back in the background trying to discourage others from supporting you as well. But don't let that deter you. Keep moving. Right. You just got to find that group that's going to support, right? And so that's, I mean, it's, again, competition. I've said this before. Competition is healthy. There's nothing wrong with it. But what we also have to know is, in seeking to be a part of this particular process, anything in politics, an elected position, you have to know that there's some discrepancies. There's some disheartening things that's going to happen. There's some times that you're going to realize some of them folks that said they was your ride or die, they died because they're not playing with you no more. Okay.
But we think about, why do people say power numbers?
Power and numbers, right? It's shown to us.
It's power in numbers. So you said something about I don't know if it said unity or solidarity or something. So I was looking at the word unity and solidarity. And They're not the same.
No, they are not.
We harp on this conversation of we need unity, right?
Right. That's alignment.
It's like people who have these shared values, right?
Yeah.
I'll take solidarity over unity all day long.
Come on, because that means when it's time to vote yes or no, we all doing it.
We all doing it. Because unity becomes this personality thing, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to sit with this person because I don't like them. Well, why don't you like them? Because so and so said, okay, but why don't you like them? Because of a difference.
Yeah.
Okay. You go to work every day, you get that paycheck every month or every month or bi-weekly, and you still work at that job and you don't like your manager, you don't like what you do, but you show up on time every day. You say yes, sir, yes, ma'am, every day. You do your job every day, you do that every day. But when it's something that can really help your community or your neighborhood or your mission to help, now unity has a question. But what solidarity is, even if I don't agree with what you are doing personally, even if it's different from mine or this other collective, I know that we have solidarity, that when you're over there, we are going in the same direction in agreement. We don't have to be unified. I just got to know if you over there, you're doing this. That's what we agreed to do because we're in solidarity, which is different from being unified. Because you can have unity, you can have solidarity without unity, but you can't have unity without solidarity. Because unity is supposed to lead to solidarity. But that's why you have some movements in some cities where you see they talk about solidarity. Like, I don't care what happens, we finna go in there and do this, which is why I believe the civil rights movement back then, the sit-ins worked. Because they all said, you finna go in here and get stuff thrown in your face and spit on and dog sicked on you. But this is the objective.
Exactly. And it wouldn't have worked if that solidarity had been fragmented. If everybody started saying, I can't deal with this, right? And started fighting or whatever, it just wouldn't, it would have taken longer to get to the point. I just, you bring it up so much today. This conversation, you all, it ought to be something that everybody wants to put in on. We should be having our lights lit up at the moment, because what do you want to do? What do you want? Do you want to just exist in your community and allow things to continue to happen to you? Or do you want to be a part of things actually happening for and lifting the community? You can't be a complainer and never, I'm not saying everybody run for office. That's not what we do.
Right.
Because everybody's not fit for that.
Right.
Even those people who believe that they should run for office doesn't necessarily, after you start learning some of the things that you need to do and how you need to do it, sometimes it's not a good fit. Even recognizing that, it's being a part of a solution. We cannot afford, as a people, period, to continue to allow other groups to dictate the way that our lives are going to go. And I saw something this morning talking about lakefront.
Lake Eufaula.
What in okay, I heard about this, but I hadn't seen it. And the picture looks like it's somewhere else, like in a whole island. And we got stuff being sold for $49,000. What?
Yeah. So Lake Eufaula has been an area where that people have been looking to develop around the lake for years. And the great thing about developing like Lake Eufaula is it becomes a place that people want to go to, right? It's definitely a destination kind of thing. It's beautiful around the lake. It's beautiful. It's something we don't have. It's only 2 hours. It's about 2 hours, 2.5 hours from Oklahoma City. But think about this too. Someone bought land around the lake
to sell to everybody else
for about $50,000.
Okay, and now they sell it,
which is not really a lot of. You're talking about buying a lot. It's not a lot of money to have a lakefront, but it's that conversation where here it seems so rare, right? But that's not abnormal for folks to be thinking about. Well, I want to buy a lakefront property. I'm 42 years old. I didn't start thinking about vacation places or buying a cabin or something like that until maybe a couple years ago, because it wasn't a part of my conversation. And I wasn't around people who thought about vacation homes or looked at this as an asset that I'm buying. I didn't think about that, but how they're leveraging it. But it's I heard about the developer that was considering doing that and have no problem with their choosing. But I'm like, man, $50,000 you can buy a lot and have a lake off Lake Eufaula.
Oh yeah, they got it where it's positioned. That's the lowest one. But that's my thing. Like, you have these opportunities out here. And when we're talking about moving as a unit, being solid and all that stuff, up to and including the Black towns that we want to actually, people want to have remerge and thrive.
Yeah.
You've got to decide that your money is going to go this way and you're going to stand with the time. And that is a word for myself. Like, do you want to remain, and Apollo says this stuff, not necessarily directed towards me, but in your life, if you are gunning for something that doesn't match where it seems like you're going, you got to decide if you're going to remain in that march and be steadfast. That's just what it is. Through it all, and however long it takes. That is a real decision that people have to make. And particularly when you're talking about running for any elected position. Because there is a learning curve for everyone. I don't care if you went in shadows, you ain't learning at all.
Well, we're talking about land, and so I sent you the information about the South of 8th design and effort that's happening. So their first event is this Saturday, the 13th, and there are 2 time slots. So this first one is, it's like a town hall or presentation to talk about the effort. So it's supposed to be about community engagement, to talk about visioning. There's a 10 o'clock and a 12:45. So it's about 2 hours and 15 minutes. And I'll put the link down here in the chat so you all can see it. But here's an effort that we got to pay attention to. Because
all of them.
We're talking about land and ownership. So if you are familiar with the area south of 8th or just south of 13th or 10th Street or just south of OU Health Science Center, that community was divested, depopulated. There are some community environment challenges, and there's a lot of land that the Alliance and Urban Renewal have that need to be developed. And I appreciate the intentionality of developing. It's needed.
Right.
But again, I look at it like this. You need an initiative to develop in a neighborhood that was taken but sponsored by the same organization or organizations who took it.
Right.
So why don't you just change the process? Why don't you make it fair for the people who live there to build what they want? So it's visioning, right? It's visioning. So I plan on attending. But these type of meetings are important to be aware of because we got to show up in that. And it can't just be, let me tell you all that we want so somebody else can take what y'all said you wanted, but we couldn't. We found people with access, money, resource, understand the process, whatever, and they took your vision and they built it for you. See, that's not the Bible that I read.
You're describing being a part of the plan, being part of the planning process.
Because the Bible I read says is cast your vision. Put it out there so I do it.
Yeah.
I'm a part of it, not cast it so you can. Oh, but we haven't gotten to that part of the process to we're trying to decide how we can get the community involved. No, you want the input so somebody else can develop. See, we've been here before.
Right.
So my challenge to people listening is that come to these events, come to these sessions and challenge the process. I don't care if somebody Black is leading it. I don't care if I'm leading it or Tanash is. I don't care who you know is leading it. You got to ask the questions to make sure you understand, because some people have different motives.
That's right.
And I'm not running for office, and I'm not trying to be nobody's pastor. Although my spiritual gift is pastor, and all pastor mean is leader. So I got it from a family of deacons and all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying, y'all, that We have to question everything until you understand what's going on.
Exactly. And particularly when you don't have that, you haven't been attending some meetings, you haven't met with these individuals who are leading, so you really don't know what it is that they are seeking to do. So if you're not on the same page, just don't be afraid to ask the question. Don't let other people plan the plight for you.
And then I just want to put this out because I'm reading at this website. It says it's an open design collective. Open Design Collective is bringing the community together to reimagine the present and future of our community located south of Northeast 8th Street. And that's it. So my thing is, we're reimagining the present. How can I possibly reimagine my present condition if we don't understand what happened for me to get here? The tone of that message says to me that you want us to give you ideas to make it better, but you are not necessarily prepared, doesn't seem like, to talk about how we got here. And the how we got here part involves a lot of different people. So if we're going to talk about reimagining my present and future, I need to understand how we got here. Because there'll be people in the audience, my age or younger, who don't understand depopulation, don't understand the legislation that was changed in 1914, 1915. 8th Street connected to Deep Deuce. There's only one Black-owned building in Deep Deuce. There was only one bid for the townhomes on the Hill. That was only one bid, and the one bid won. And how that affected the white flight from Northeast, which was predominantly white for a long period of time, from there to Edmond. So folks that have roots in Edmond, you got traces and roots in Northeast Oklahoma City or on the east side. So we can't understand the full context of it. And how can I really tell you what I really need? Because what I might need is to question. So if I give you these ideas, what is the probability of allocation of those to develop in this room, or to collect people that look like us in this room to build it for us?
Right.
Outsource it to somebody else.
You also are mentioning, which is very important, that people recognize, because some folk feel like, even some young Black people are like, we always concentrating on what happened back then. Well, what's going on now? But this is why it's important. You don't want to come up against the same thing that was going on back when, and then you're feeling like, why? Then you're going through the whole thing all over again. And this is what we're trying to help all of us not experience. So show up for these things and ask those all the questions are valid questions. If you don't know, somebody wants to know what it is that you're asking. I know we've all heard this from school. No question is a stupid question, even though some people might disagree. I'm just saying.
So we have it's a 12 o'clock hour, and I forgot to, conversation was going so good, I forgot to give our little shameless plug. Make sure you follow Oklahoma Black Pack on social media. You see the handle down on the bottom of my screen, OKBPAC, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Visit our website at oklahomablackpack.com to subscribe to our newsletter and give a donation. Your donations help us in paying for the cost it requires to subscriptions and campaigns and going on as we're ramping up. So your financial donations are very important. And also to volunteer. You can go to our website and be a volunteer. Being a volunteer doesn't mean that you are wanting to become a member, because we do need volunteers. So if membership is something you're interested in, of course, you can always send us an email at info@oklahomablackpack.com. But please make sure you support us, as we are going to show up no matter what to do these podcasts on this platform every 2 weeks. And the more support we have and resources we have, we can expand. We got some guests coming up that we're excited to show here soon, as we continue to educate people on why they need to be actively engaged in these Oklahoma politics and nationwide as well. So now we're going to go into the Auntie TT segment.
Oh, I had to make sure you weren't pissed. I made sure. I was like, let me see if he's doing this crazy.
I paused. I was trying to see if you was going to be ready for it. Okay, I got you. All right. Two
things right quick, because my going out is simple. It's called a bullets real quick. But I want people to know that if you are curious about how I think and how I write about Oklahoma, please take a moment to purchase the Oklahoma City Herald. I am featured in that particular newspaper every week, and it comes out on Friday. There's locations throughout the city where you can purchase it. It's only 25 cents. And there's other information in that newspaper that you very well want to know. They are a pretty diverse paper. When I say diverse, I'm talking about they have people who are writing from national types of things that's in that paper. But check us out. My last thing for you all is don't quit on you. That's what I got. Do not quit on you. I love y'all, folks.
No, you can't quit saying that. You can't quit saying that. You can't do that. No.
I can't do what?
I need a little bit more. No.
What more could you get from that?
Player. You know when it's good and people like, you gotta that part, that's a black thing. Look, tell you, means three things. One, that was a word. Two, it tastes good. Or three, it is a negative response.
True. That's very true. Right. You gotta understand.
but my was, that was good. Like you got look, you gotta give me a little bit. I need 30 more seconds of that.
Honestly, what that means is when you want to get something done and you know that you have great intentions for you and the better part of your community, don't quit on you. Don't let there be anyone or anything that stops you from going towards seeking that goal. Don't quit on me.
There it is, y'all. Keep pushing, keep pushing and going forward. And as you're going forward, bring someone along with you. Create space for somebody else. I'm gonna leave that one at that. Thank y'all for tuning in on episode 5 for the Conscious Disruptors podcast with Oklahoma Black Pack. We'll see you around. Like this video, share it, watch the replay. Good conversation today. And as always, I appreciate my co-host and friend, Auntie TT, aka Tanasha, not Tanisha.
Come on, Apollo. Give it to him. All right, good people. See y'all next time.